Now, before we get started, just a few things. First of all, remember, please, when I'm talking, I would like everyone else to be quiet. That's good manners, and also that lets sure everyone else can hear what I'm saying. And also, I'm going to make sure everyone stays in your seats. We are going to have some birds fly, so I want to make sure that everybody stays sitting so that we don't have any accidents. And if you have any questions, make sure you raise your hand, and I'll try to answer as many questions at the very end as I can, okay? Are we rushing, or
we're okay?
We're okay? We're doing regular?
Yeah, we're all right.
Okay. So first of all, we're going to talk about a little bit about training. Now, we do a lot of training here with the birds. Birds are very, very smart. They're about as smart as 2-year-olds. So many of you have 2-year-old brothers and sisters. You know how much they can learn and how much trouble they can get into. Well, parents are like that too. They have to keep busy because they're very smart. They have to keep their mind busy too so that they don't start doing things that would get them into trouble, like chewing on things and doing a lot of screaming and stuff like that. So, Addie can actually do a lot of things. The way we train the parents is that we find something that they really, really like, and in most cases for parents it's like sunflower seeds. Do you like sunflower seeds? And nuts and things like that. Just like maybe if you guys, if your mom says, well, if you clean your room, we're going to go out and get ice cream, something like that. That would probably make you want to clean your room really fast and do a good job. And if your mom said, if you clean your room, we're going to go eat spinach, you'd be like, well, I'm not going to clean my room then because I don't want that. So that's why it's important to find something that's motivational or something that they really, really like so that they'll do a good job. Now, the way that we train those certain things is that a lot of times you can just start by, for example, you saw her do her little wave. So the way you get a parent to learn how to do a wave is that you can just first have them try to touch your finger, and then when they do that, you say, good, and then they get a treat for it. And it takes them a long time to learn new stuff, but you keep doing that over and over again, and then eventually you hold your hand further and further back, and as they try to grab it, they kind of do that little wave, and you say, good, and then you give them a treat. And so eventually, all she can still see is you do your little finger like this, and she yeah. So that's just real quick training. It obviously takes them a long time to learn new stuff, but that's how you can train them to do things, just by doing little bits at a time until they get it right. And then eventually when they get it right, then you keep asking for that behavior over and over again. It's like practicing. The more you practice, the easier you get, or the faster you get at it. I'm going to show you another trick, but I'm actually going to move them over here because you guys are all on that side. She does a ring race. And she's supposed to pick all 3 rings up and put them on the post all at once. And how you train this behavior, first thing you get them to touch it. And when they touch it, you say, good, and then they get a treat for it. And eventually you want them to pick it up, and then they hold it, and you say, good. So you have to go real slow and move along until eventually they get what you're asking them to do. If you ask them to do too much all at once, they just get confused. So she gets a treat for it because she did what I want. She also does little dances. And she likes to do it. If you're asking them to do something that they don't like, a lot of times they just won't do it. So that's what's hard. You got to find stuff that they really like to do. And that's like if you guys maybe like to do, some people like to do maybe math more than science or things like that. If you like to do something, usually you put more effort into it, or you try harder to do that because it's more fun for you. Same thing, you try to find stuff that the birds think that's fun for them so that they'll want to do it. Because if they don't want to do it, we can't really make them do it. They have to choose to do it on their own. You guys have any questions about Addie or training her to do stuff? Did you have a question?
Well, she training
For grades? Well, she doesn't really get grades like you do, but she does get, I guess you could say, yeah, she gets treats for her reward, and also the more things she knows how to do, the more things that she can show other people how to do, and she likes doing stuff in front of people. Huh. Do you have any questions about Addie? Do you have a question? That's a good question. Actually, Addie's a boy, but we thought she was a girl for a long time, so we still call her a girl. Boys and girls actually look the same in most areas. Yeah, she actually likes, Sometimes when they're learning new things, it can be distracting because they're not really paying attention to what they're doing. Kind of like when we learn new things, if there's like the TV on or you have lots of stuff going on, you usually want to pay more attention to that than what you're trying to do. But after they know the behavior and it becomes just routine, then they really don't get distracted by much. Do you have a question? How did she learn to do that? Well, she started just by touching it like I showed you, and then after she got used to touching it, then we wait for her to do more, like pick it up, and when she picks it up, she got treats for it. Then we actually have her drop it, so it's a lot of different steps because she has to let it go when we ask her to too, and that's hard for her to learn, isn't it? Alright, we're going to go ahead and put Addie back and bring out another bird, and we'll talk a little bit about Hobie. Hobie's going to come next. Let's get Sarah's around here. Here you are.
I don't know why it's called
And you guys know what kind of bird this is? Raise your hand if you know what this bird is. Anybody know what this bird is? You know what everybody is? Hawk, that's a good guess, but not a hawk. Anybody else want to guess? A kingfisher is actually called a kookaburra. You guys ever heard of a kookaburra before? Well, a kookaburra is a type of kingfisher. We have their relatives right here in California. They look a little bit different though, they're a little smaller. This type of bird is found in Australia. That's where they would be found out in the wild. And they actually like to live in family groups. So they live in groups of up to like 15 birds, and they help to take care of the younger brothers and sisters, just like maybe you guys do. They help to feed them and keep them warm and protect them from other animals who might want to eat them. And they also have a really neat call or a noise that they make that does sort of sound like a laugh, so sometimes they're called a laughing kookaburra. Does anybody want to come up here and be a brave volunteer and help me show how that they laugh? You can put, I saw your hand up, go first. On the end there, come on up here. Come up here and stand right next to me. What's your name? Jonathan. Okay, well you can give Hobie a soft pat on the back right there. Okay, now he makes a call, but we have to help him get started, and because we train him to do this call whenever we make a certain noise, he's going to copy it. So you guys, are you ready to go? You just have to do it. Okay, go ahead and do it real loud. Pretty loud, isn't he? You guys are giving me a good job, Jonathan. That noise sort of sounds like a laugh. You guys think it sounds like someone laughing? Yeah, it's kind of called laughing kookaburra. And they make that noise because that helps them to talk to each other, because they do live pretty big groups. They want to be able to know where each other is. Also helps them to scare away animals that might want to come into their area and eat them or hurt them. So they make that noise to kind of scare them away. Now the way that we train that, we got Hobie when Hobie was just at the same day she was actually hatched. Birds are hatched out of an egg. And she's about 16 years old now, so we've had her for a long time. And the way that we trained her to do that noise, that's just something that automatically they would learn, but we made that little noise to her, and every time she made that noise back, she got used to hearing us do it first, then she would copy it. So that's how we trained her to do that on cue, or when you make a noise or ask her to do it. Does that make sense? Do you guys know what a cue is? Raise your hand if you ever heard of a cue. Do you know what it is? It's a certain word, or sometimes it's a hand signal, or anything that makes the animal respond. Like if you guys have dogs at home, sometimes if you say, sit or stay, that's a good one. A lot of times people put their hand out. That's a cue. That's what the animal is looking at to do what you're asking them to do. Also, lots of words are cues, like even stay. That word is a cue. It's just anything that you use to get the animal to do what they're supposed to. And so Hobie's cue to make that noise is for us to go like that. Do you guys have any questions about Hobie? Yes? Well, I'll have him do it one more time just before he leaves, okay? Do you have a question? He actually doesn't fly. We trim his wings